The content presented in this podcast is based on real events and may contain graphic descriptions of violence, sensitive topics, and explicit language that may be triggering, offensive, or sensitive subjects to some viewers and listeners. Discretion is advised. The purpose of this podcast is to explore and discuss true crime cases for entertainment and educational purposes only. This podcast does not intend to glorify or sensationalize crime, but rather aims to analyze and understand the complexities of human behavior in the criminal justice system. We encourage listeners to approach this content with empathy, critical thinking, respect for the victims and their families.
He grew up surrounded by whispers, not bedtime stories, but mob stories, not fairy tales, but felonies. His father didn't clock in and out of an office. No 9 to 5, no dental plan, just favors, envelopes, and the kind of friends who never use their real names. And like so many men who believe they could balance family life with organized crime, he made one fatal mistake. Spoiler alert, the mob does not appreciate confidence. Tonight's story isn't about a son who followed in his father's footsteps. It's about a father whose choices finally caught up with him in the only way the mob knows how to end things, permanently. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and remember, this mystery's Mayhem and Merlot, where bad decisions age worse than cheap wine. So with that being said, it's time to start the show. Let's hit it.
The content presented in this podcast is based on real events and may contain graphic descriptions of violence, sensitive topics, and explicit language that may be triggering, offensive, or sensitive subjects to some viewers and listeners. Discretion is advised. The purpose of this podcast is to explore and discuss true crime cases for entertainment and educational purposes only. This podcast does not intend to glorify or sensationalize crime, but rather aims to analyze and understand the complexities of human behavior in the criminal justice system. We encourage listeners to approach this content with empathy, critical thinking, respect for the victims and their families.
He grew up surrounded by whispers, not bedtime stories, but mob stories, not fairy tales, but felonies. His father didn't clock in and out of an office. No 9 to 5, no dental plan, just favors, envelopes, and the kind of friends who never use their real names. And like so many men who believe they could balance family life with organized crime, he made one fatal mistake. Spoiler alert, the mob does not appreciate confidence. Tonight's story isn't about a son who followed in his father's footsteps. It's about a father whose choices finally caught up with him in the only way the mob knows how to end things, permanently. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and remember, this mystery's Mayhem and Merlot, where bad decisions age worse than cheap wine. So, with that being said, it's time to start the show. Let's hit it. Hi, welcome to another episode of Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot. I am your host, Winnie Schrader. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Yes, it's 2026. It's going to be a good year. The dumpster fire 2025 is now put out. So now we can move on. And I'm recording live from the powerhouse. There has been strange things happening. I'm not going to lie. I've been here for almost 3 weeks now. I'm living out of bags. I'm living out of my suitcase, but I'm making it work and I'm having a blast. Been glad handing, introducing myself. The community has been great. They've been coming up. There's people that have been coming up here that haven't been here in years and they just came to see the new owners. So it's been a lot of fun. But we also have a very special guest, not only on my show, but at the Palmer House too. And that's our buddy, Mark Lanoue. Now we know who Mark is. He's, Kick the Wicked music. You see his ads on here all the time. But there's another side of Mark that a lot of people don't get to really know about. And that's having a father in the mob and murdered and growing up in a world like that. To me, I mean, that's something you'd see like on The Sopranos. I mean, you had Anthony Jr., growing up with a mob dad, and he had the daughter. She knew her dad was in the family. But how is it like in real life? I can't imagine having a father in a life of crime, because that's something, especially as a son, to look up to their father, which Mark did. I mean, he loved his father. There's no question about it. But how do you deal with that I guess that inner Jiminy Cricket saying, "Hello, knock, 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 your conscience. This isn't right." So how would you build a relationship with a parent that lives a life of crime? You love them, but you know what they're doing wrong. So I thought, well, since Mark is a guest at the Palmer House, why not have him on my show? And I'm broadcasting from my room. He's broadcasting from Raymond's room. So I would like to welcome Mark to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Winnie? Didn't I just see you a little while ago?
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, Mark and I have been hanging out all weekend. Dave, we've been having a blast. It's nice. It's how are you liking small town Minnesota in January?
Well, actually, it brings me back to my youth because New Jersey was pretty damn cold during the wintertime, too, especially
Yeah.
Central Jersey, where I was from. So,
Yeah, and of course, we all know New Jersey and any crime family out of Jersey, it was the Sopranos, right?
yeah.
But you growing up in New Jersey with a father that was connected, and now he wasn't made because
He
why
wasn't
was he not?
Italian. Yeah. So
He wasn't Italian, right? And that's a thing in the mafia. You can't be a made person unless you have Italian blood in you. So, and it has to be what, 100% Italian blood?
Yeah, and they basically, the rest were basically affiliates. So they would use other people, and quite frankly, that was useful for them because those would be the ones that would run and do all the business for them and take care of issues that they need to take care of. So
Now, with them not being made or being Italian, did that make them more dispensable to the mob, or did they actually? I mean, or was it kind of equal grounding? Because you always hear of another made guy taking another made guy out, but you're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. But do they value non-made people just as much as the made people in the mob?
I think it was singled out, so it was individuals. So there's people that would really like another person, or what that other person does for them. And they would make friends. I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
just like regular friends, except they had a little different dynamic. You couldn't talk and about certain things, and
Yeah.
you couldn't go off and tell the government about certain things either. That was kind of frowned upon. So.
Oh, yeah, very frowned upon. Okay, so how old were you when you realized what your dad did for a living?
Well, it's kind of funny because grown-ups tend to forget how smart kids are. Actually, you pick up on stuff very fast.
Mhm.
And when I was quite young, I remember my mother would bring me to, like, my father spent time in Rikers Island for a while, and he
Mhm.
also spent some time in Rolway State Prison, which was a really bad prison back at the time. But because he was connected to the mafia and because there was corruption within the government and the police forces and stuff like that, of course he would say, like, "Hey, I need to take the truck out," and they say, "Well, just make sure you're back before we lock the gates outside." So he would actually leave and then go do stuff and then come back, and But I remember going to one of them with my mother, and I remember them all dressed up in these like orange jumpsuits, like you would have in prison, with the numbers on the back and stuff, and while my mother and my father were talking, I like moseyed off over to where the like murderers and stuff were, and I was over there talking to people. It's typical me, right? I could talk the paint off walls, so I'm even as a
Well,
kid. So yeah.
wow, 'cause yeah, I mean, I couldn't I couldn't imagine, like, finding out, like, wow. And did you even know what the mob actually was at the time, or you just thought your dad was just, like, doing shady stuff?
No, along the way, and when you from that generation too, a lot of that stuff was on TV too, right? So,
Mhm.
um, as little as I was watching TV and watching some of those shows, and so we kind of knew what a SWAT was and what the mob was, and crime was and stuff like that. So and plus, you put two plus two together. Like there was a time where my father typically did not get us involved in a lot of the mafia stuff he was doing. He tried to keep the family as far away as possible from that.
Mhm.
He didn't even take us to like some of the parties and stuff because he just was afraid that if he started bringing us in, it would connect us too much to that.
Mhm.
So basically, he there was a couple times where he didn't have time to get back home, so he actually took me with him. One was a time in the Bronx, and the other one was Brooklyn. And so I remember going to one of the houses, and he's out there with his one of his associates, friends, whatever you want to call them. And I remember them going into the garage, and I followed behind. They weren't paying attention to me, so I was gonna go just follow behind. And I ended up smelling this paint smell, and I was like, "Hmm." So I walk a little further in. There's this van, typical '70s, like this. They had this airbrushed wizard on the side of the van, the stuff that you would see on the TV shows from
Awesome.
like the '70s. And my father's handing this guy a CB radio in it. And so here I am. I'm thinking, yeah, they just painted that van. They stole it. They're going to sell it on
Mhm.
the black market. And my dad's handing him a hot CB radio that they're going to put in it before they send it off to wherever it's going. So kids pick up on that stuff. They think, oh, the kids don't know any better, but pick up on it really fast. So.
Yeah. So, during this time, though, when your father would be at home with you guys,
Mhm.
what do you feel like he was a completely different person from what you've seen with him dealing with associates, or did he seem like he was kind of the same guy?
No, so it wasn't like what you saw on TV, like with some of the Italians. Hey, yo, Tony, don't be stupid, huh? It was no, he was more. He had a great heart. My father had his troubles. He had his crime troubles along the way. He even at some points, even in newspapers that are out there in the clippings, he even had like he had names like that he made up, like Jerry J. Baldwin and all these other names that he made up, so that if he got caught, he didn't have his real name on the record. Uh,
Yeah.
but but he was always, he like when he was home, he wasn't home a whole lot because he was always out and about and doing something, and we were always moving around because when you're in that kind of situation where you're like running stolen goods and everything else, and you're dealing with
Yeah.
police and everything else, you don't stay in places very long. So I found myself not really having a pool of friends for very long. We just move and move and move and move. So
Mhm.
but he was, dad at home, and he was so he always played with us. He'd come home, he'd bring candy to the kids on the block, and what was kind of a little bit different is I remember him coming home and he had a bag full of jewelry. I mean, like diamonds and all this stuff. I was like, where did you get all that? And he goes, hey, you want one? And so I pick one out and I've got this little pinky ring on it and it's like a diamond. I lost it playing baseball down the street. It's like,
Oh no.
we're playing kick the can. I'm out playing baseball with everybody and I've got a diamond ring on. Anyway.
This kind of, when you look back at, with movies and TV shows that showcase mob life, and some of it does look kind of fun and exciting and things like that, but there is such a dark underbelly to it, and it's like, it's almost like you're signing your own death wish, trying to get into this type of lifestyle, because it's either you're going out one way or another. More than likely, it's going to be in a casket. Is that how it really was in your area?
That is how it really was. But the thing is that they choose people like my father who had, rough upbringings and who ran away from home at 15. My father ran away from home at 15, went to he joined Hell's Angels, and then ended up in the Blue Angels of Massachusetts in another biker gang. And a lot of times they would pick people like that because those are the kind of people that could be enforcers that they could trust to take to different places what they needed to be done. And and they also set up storefronts. Like my father's storefront was an auto mechanic shop. It was an auto body and repair shop. And across the street, which was on Elizabeth Avenue, we had in Elizabeth, New Jersey, he had a whole warehouse units on the other side that had all the stolen goods and stuff in it that were being distributed across state lines. And but now I bring that up at a funny thing that came up. I remember my father used to take me down to the pub down the street with his associate Bones. Of course, they all had names, everybody had some street name. Everybody called my father Ricky, he was Richard. So he really had a street name, but Bones was Bruce, was his partner in the auto shop, and a big, tall, skinny guy. So we used to go down to this little Irish pub down the street, and I would play pool with Bones to try and win my father Rolling Rock beer. So my father had his cool cigarettes, and he liked Rolling Rock beer. So I'm playing. I'm sure Bruce was letting me win, but I was in there hustling at the pool table to get my father some beer and a little kid in the pub.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. Well, that's like part of the appeal too. Like when you watch these shows, everybody's got these funny nicknames. Everybody has it's like they're caricatures, but they're real people. It's just how they are.
Yeah.
And you were telling me some of the characters that you've come across.
Oh, wait, it's coming. We'll talk about that here shortly. We've got some characters for sure.
Oh my gosh, because it's like, to me, that is so appealing. When you talk to people who experience this in real time, in real life, it's about as real as it gets. You know what I'm saying? Like there are these crazy characters and funny nicknames and big personalities and things like that. What are some of the ones that you came across? And
so there was Lenny was one, but that's not the funniest names. But Lenny was also like a fellow biker. He was involved with, I'm sure, with some of the derelict kind of things that they did. But so I used to go and stay over at Lenny's house while they were going off doing whatever they were doing, because Lenny had a son, and so we kind of would hang out over there. But the funniest of characters is after my father. So my father was murdered in January of 1977, and we'll get to the whole part of how it got to there. But I remember that morning, my father sat me down on the couch and he gave me the old, "You're going to be the man of the house" speech. If anything ever happened to him, it's like, "Dad, I'm 10. Okay.
Get a job, kid."
But well, no, what's funny is I already had a job down the street. I actually was, of course, they have different laws now that they don't let children in, but so the owner of the local, it was an Esso station. It just turned over to Exxon. It was right on the corner of the gas station. And the owner's son was supposed to be there taking care of, because you would pump the gas back then. You had the license plate in the back, you pull it down, you put
Yep.
the gas in there. Well, he didn't want to do the work. He wanted to just sit and put his feet up on the desk and watch TV. So he paid me $5 a day to go outside, put on like the tiger hat and the tiger jacket, and say, "Sir, would you like your windows washed?" So here's this, and the locals loved it. They drive up. There's a 10-year-old. He's going to pump gas in my car and freaking clean my windows and stuff. And then they'd have in the Linden Airport behind there, they had a fair every summer. So I'd go and ask them, "Hey, can I clean up the fair after you're done?" And so I would just go out and hustle and find work. It's a whole different generation. I've been working since 10. But what happened after he was murdered is that I went down to, here's the two characters you're probably thinking of. Is down the street was an auto shop, and it was a front for whatever they were doing. And one guy's name was Frenchie. Hey, I'm Frenchie. And he had a bald guy, big old belly. He had the wife beater white thing on with the zip up jacket. I thought he was like the coolest thing.
Oh no, he had the jogging suit.
Yeah, he had
the
jogging
suit, just
like you see on TV, man. It was like, it was just, and he was like. He was like in love with my aunt, right? So he's like, "Oh, yeah, she's beautiful. She's sitting on $1 million." But so there was Frenchie, big old gold chain, like
my God.
And his sidekick who worked with him, his name was Mario. And he had he had like the blue jumpsuit auto mechanic suit, like with the patch on it and stuff. So anyway, what they do after somebody's like murdered in the family, or they try to recruit the kids, So here I am, 10 years old. He's giving me $7 an hour in 1977. I mean, that's big money for a 10-year-old.
Right.
And so he gets me a brand new bicycle so I can ride around town on it. And he says, "So, okay, yeah, I'll give you a job. You take this paper bag. Don't look in the bag. You just leave the clothes. You take this bag over there and you bring it back over here. When you come back, you take this can of WD-40 instruments. You take that bolt off that car until I tell you to take another bag." So I never looked in them. I just took the bag wherever it had a typical little paper bag, like a little lunch bags. And I take it wherever he wanted me to take it. I'd come back. I'd try to take the bolt off that damn car, which I wasn't getting that bolt off that car. It was like rusted in the bottom. And that's what I would do. And so, but yeah, that's how they try to recruit. And they called me little Ricky, huh? And my name's Mark, but I was going to argue with him. He's paying me $7 an hour. He could call me
Oh, you were little Ricky. You were little Ricky Jr. I'm shocked they didn't call you Junior.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's funny. What do you have an idea what was in the bag?
Yeah, I figured it was probably either money, drugs, or something in between. I didn't, but I wasn't going to look. Yeah. I knew what heroin was and all that kind of stuff already. I was a street kid. We had gangs back then, and it's hard to believe that you got a 10-year-old who's in a gang.
Yeah. But, oh my God. I don't know what's happening to your camera, but on my end, you look creepy.
Yeah, I do.
I think the paranormal.
I think that is. I think there's something standing in front of my camera, probably. So, Raymond, you mind getting
Raymond?
Hey, good, late gracious. I know I'm not GQ, but shit.
Right? I'm telling you, man. At the Palmer house, anything could happen. We have so much weird, lights. Lights will light bulbs will just turn on.
Yeah.
And turn off.
Okay, so Raymond's gonna be a pain in the ass. So Raymond, I'm gonna have to break out the Christmas screaming goat.
This is awesome because guess what Mark brought me? My very own screaming goat. Yes, he did. I'm so excited for it. I have loved the screaming goat since that video meme came out. And it's my go-to when I'm having a bad day. I look up the screaming goat, and it gets me every time. So I appreciate this. I'm gonna cherish this. This is gonna be my thing. Every time Dave's bugging me, I'm just gonna go away.
Oh, Dave loves that goat, man.
Oh, I know. I named him Mortimer. So if anybody asks, his name is Mortimer. I've always wanted a goat and named him that. So now I got one. So I'm happy now.
So since Raymond's being a pain in the ass, what we're going to do is we're going to say this is just like one of those mob shows. She's trying to make sure that I'm anonymous. So you know my name, you know my name's underneath there. Kind of defeat
you out.
She's trying to protect the people that were trying to be recruited into the mafia.
I'm trying to protect your identity. Oh, Raymond, you're such a prankster.
Yeah, well,
oh God. Okay.
I just have a few blemishes. It's the filter.
Well, but like growing up in that atmosphere, I mean, that had to build character in you that you've carried on, into your, what you do, that humor. And it just like being around people like that, that had to enrich you in whether it was crime or not. Do you feel like it's enriched your life in one way or another?
Yeah, absolutely. You learn from those experiences. So it's something that I don't see in the current generations because they're not exposed to the kind of things that we were exposed to. It was a different time and place. And I learned from all that. And that's the reason why obviously the book that I gave you, I wrote that book is because all those experiences, it's stuck in there, stuck through. Yeah, it's part of the dynamic of my and who I became, so
right. And I can't wait to read this, Mark. And I'm definitely going to have a link for that in today's description, guys. So please, guys, go check out Mark's book, rate and review it. Please rate and review it because it helps it get seen more and more by other people looking up similar books like this. So
a new year is rapidly approaching, which means it's time to stop letting last year's chaos rent space in your head and in your heart. This is the season of new everything. New life, new love, new confidence, new jobs, and new chances to finally become the best version of you that you've dreamt of. And the universe? Well, it's practically standing on your lawn with a giant cosmic boombox blasting messages meant just for you. You just need the right conduit. And that's where Love and Lotus Tarot with Winnie Schrader comes in. Winnie doesn't just read cards. She translates destiny. He helps you see the opportunities lining up, the patterns trying to repeat, and the new beginnings that are already forming behind the scenes. Right on the heels of New Year comes Valentine's Day, which means love is in the air, or at least it should be. And if your love life has been more like a blue screen of death error, romance not found, don't panic, my friends. The universe is already trying to nudge you in the right direction. The cards are ready to be shuffled, your story is ready to turn the next page, and your next beginning is closer than you think. Book your reading now, or better yet, buy a reading for a friend. Visit lovelotustarot.com and start the year the way it deserves, with clarity, confidence, and maybe even finding a love that you deserve. That's lovelotustarot.com. Your destiny awaits.
Okay, so
I'm that guy now. Everybody has a book now. I'm like, watch TV. It's like, they got a book too?
Yeah, I know. I was going to get mine done this year, but life gave me the Palmer house right now. So it's kind of a priority. Being a business owner, it's a lot of work, a lot of computer work. I mean, you've been here watching me do that, trying to get through all that stuff. Okay, so like having characters like Mario and Frenchie. Which it's always those women, there's always that big tall guy named Tiny, a big fat guy named Frenchie. How many Paulies did you know? Because everybody has about 20 Paulies per family.
So
it seems like.
Yeah, I didn't know any Paulies, but I did spend 2 weeks every summer at Seaside Heights or Seaside Park. So I was part of the dynamic of where the Jersey Shore people were, and there was a Paulie in that at some point. But
oh, I'm sure.
So
there's always a Paulie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now leading on. So you were 10 years old when your father was murdered?
Yeah. So what was happening is that my father found out that he was probably going to die in about 5 years because he had a really rough, he had a drug problem for a long period of time, and it was mixed with alcohol and riding motorcycles and jumping off stuff and doing crazy stuff. So his body was just, it was time. It was, bodies.
Yeah.
So he went to them all and said, look, I just want to spend the last years with my family, but when you join something like that, I mean, he was friends with freaking Apple's Macintosh, which was the enforcer of the Godfather for the Colombo crime family, for crying out loud.
Wait. Apple's
his name was
Macintosh?
Apple's Macintosh. He was a big Scottish guy who beat you into the pavement if you did something that was not within the of what they wanted done. So,
Oh my God. How well, this is like the chicken or the egg. Which came first, Apple's Macintosh or Apple Macintosh computers?
and he couldn't be made either, by the way, because he was
Scottish.
He was not Italians, but he was big. He would do whatever that Godfather wanted, and so he had his place and everything. But so basically, when he tried to get out, they said no. It's kind of like any of them. Once you're in, you're in. It doesn't matter whether you're a mate or your affiliate. You know too much, right? So my father ended up going to turn on state's evidence, because there were a lot of politicians and police and judges and all kinds of stuff that were going to go down. So how he was taken out, it's hard to say, because there was trouble in the corruption in the government. There's corruption in the local government, state governments. He was doing stuff all the way up to Connecticut. I mean, there was a large, string of things that, and people that were involved. And so it was just like the movies. They tried to take him out twice by running him over with a car. That the scenes where they go in an alleyway and they drive.
Yeah.
That stuff actually happened. So,
oh my God.
So, but
they ran over him.
They tried to run him over the first time. The second time, he slipped on the ice, and they actually did run over his ankle. I remember him being on the crutches. You could see the tire marks going across his ankle. But when they didn't get him the second time, they finally just set him up. It's the typical setup. His best friend came to pick him up. He went by the nickname of Buddy. How appropriate. Picked him up that morning. He was supposed to go over to work, and he said, hey, let's stop here. I got to take care of some business real quick over here in Clifton. So they pulled in, and basically this guy set him up. They went there. It was an off-duty policeman who was on the marksman force with pistols for 15 years. Before that, he was an honored police officer. He was retired, and the guy jumped out of the front of the house and pulled out a gun, and my father went to run, apparently shot him in the back, went right through his heart, and he went right over the rail onto the driveway, and that was it. He was gone. So and that was in the broad daylight in the morning in Clifton, New Jersey, and he in 1977. It was in January, and the way I found out is the police weren't because they were probably all tied into it, and they saw my father as riffraff. They came and they pulled up, and I was in the driveway at my house at that time, because I was already back from school, and I was playing in the driveway, and they walked up to me and said, "Hey, where's your old lady?" And I looked at him, and I already knew there's two police officers showing up here. My dad had the speech with me about being the man in the house upstairs earlier. And there is one other thing he did tell me, which I picked up on, which was, he says, "But don't worry, pretty soon we're going to California." The fact is, I think we were getting ready for the witness protection program, and we were going to end up in California. So so we're going to get to kind of how history plays out here in a minute too. But so I was in the driveway. They were kind of nasty. "Hey, where's your old lady?" In other words, "Where's your mom?" I said, "Upstairs." And they went upstairs to go tell her that your old man that she had to go with them to go identify the body and all that kind of stuff. And they weren't very nice to her either. They just ripped the sheet off him. "Hey, is this your old man?" I mean, it wasn't very cold. Very cold, wasn't very pleasant. So my mother went through a rough time with that. But she was strong through the whole thing. So I got to give her, kudos for that, especially with two kids. I had a sister, Suki, who was 2 years younger than me. And but yeah, that's kind of how it all went down. So everything then was gone, right? So we didn't have him. We didn't have the witness protection program. So, there was a lot that fallout from that too, because so my mother was trying to make ends meet with things, and she was hanging out with some people. Oh, they'd go to Studio 54, they'd hang out and stuff, and she needed to go out and do stuff to get away from all of this chaos. And when she was out and about, she actually ended up having some crazy woman involved in all this that actually pulled a gun on them, and so I almost lost my mother too.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, and so what happened is they were at this house. The guys ran one way, the girls ran the other way. Typical. It's like, guys, we're going. There's a girl with a gun, and you're running the other way, and you're leaving the girls over here. So they were all up in the room, and when this girl ran up, or I should say, woman ran up with this gun, she was pointing it at them, and my mother was just thinking, well, somebody's gonna have to go for the gun because this crazy woman's gonna shoot us anyway. Right. So my mother jumped at her, jumped at the gun, and when she did, she hit my mother over the head with the gun, and the gun went off and grazed the top of her head, but it gave enough time for the others to come in and grab her. So, but anyway, after all that happened, she said, that's it. So she took us and brought us to my grandparents' house and started working on, we're moving out of here, we're going somewhere else. So that's kind of how all that stuff happened. That's how I ended up in Mississippi, is that basically she wanted to get us out of there. So she left us for a year with my grandparents in, in the suburbs of New Jersey. And she went down to a house where my grandparents were going to go to retire, which was in Mississippi. And so that's how I ended up down there and ended up meeting the love of my life. So
wow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird to think of all what you had to go through to get to where you are today. Obviously, it's molded you and shaped you for who you are and why you do what you do. Now, when your father was still alive, how did your mom handle having a husband, having a life of crime? I mean, did you guys financially see any benefits to what he was doing?
No, not really, because my father unfortunately had a little bit of an addiction problem that typically would take a lot of that money and just go the other way. My mother worked hard. She had a job. She had to go out and work because she had the 2 kids, and he wasn't around a whole lot. When he was a good guy, good father, and he would take us with her and go to my grandparents' house and all that kind of stuff, like Thanksgiving. And I gotta tell you, funny, I just had like one of those back moments where I thought about some. So we're coming home to one of the places that we live, which was very haunted, by the way. And so we lived on the 2nd floor, but it was like there was several families that lived in that building. And one day we're coming home, and my father goes, "Yeah, I brought a gorilla home," and I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's upstairs in your room." And my mother's looking at him like, "Oh shit, what did you bring home?" So we get upstairs, and in our room, in his cage, is a freaking woolly monkey. In our room. And apparently there was a pet shop that owed him money on a deal, and they gave him the monkey to pay him. The monkey ended up in a giant cage at my grandparents' house, where we would go there and they would like throw balloons in there that would play with, and it would like his name was Jojo. And my he loved my sister. My sister would put her hands in the cage, and it would lay right in the hands so she could rock it to sleep. But but the funniest thing is just, Magilla is up in your room. We got
Magilla gorilla.
My father had quite the sense of humor. Yeah, hey, Magilla's upstairs.
Guy owed him money, paid him with an primate.
My poor mother. We had one time. My father wanted to go and get a bulldog. He, man's dog. He was going to go get a bulldog, and so he takes us to like the Humane Society, and we pick out this little tiny little freaking mousy dog with big ears, and was like, "Oh, we want that one." And of course, we did the whole, crying kid thing, and he was like,
Yeah.
he was a sap for it. So here he comes home with this little tiny thing. Runs in, my mother's like, "What the hell is that?"
I told you to bring home a dog, not a rat.
He was always doing that stuff to my poor mother.
Oh, did the dog did your dad eventually fall in love with that dog?
No, that was our dog at that point.
Oh.
He went off to do whatever he was doing. What's funny is when we lived there, so my father used to also drag race at Freehold Raceway on the lay down big dragster motorcycles.
Yeah.
And he would win trophies and everything, but he was crazy. He'd go like practice, like wearing a pair of cutoff shorts and like bare feet run the ground.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
And so anyway, he had a hearse, an actual hearse, like that you put the caskets in, and that's what he would roll his bike up into and take it to the track.
In a hearse?
In a hearse.
Oh my God. Well, I guess if it works, it's enclosed, it keeps it protected.
Yeah. So that stuff went on all the time. There are all kinds of stories that made life very interesting.
Right. It's kind of the give and take of having that life, It's kind of like police officers who have gallows humor.
Yeah.
You have to find some type of comedic relief to get through your stressful life. And being in the mob or doing anything like, organized crime, that has to be a constant stressor, thinking at any moment you could get shot in the back and somebody's going to take you out.
Well, he never thought that way, because he was very, very convincing, very cunning. If he had used his brain for other stuff, he was very smart. It's just that he was on the wrong side of the line. But I remember one time I was with him coming back from the shore, and he was we were in an El Camino. Again, we were Bones. Bones was on this side. I'm in the middle seat, and my father's driving in an El Camino. I don't know if you remember those, but
I love the El Camino.
Yeah. So he had a commercial license on the vehicle, license plate, and didn't realize it. So he's driving on a non-commercial road. He's going 102 miles an hour down this highway, and the cop pulls him over, and he goes, "Just wait here." And he gets out of the vehicle. He goes, sits in the front seat with this police officer. I see him back there talking. He comes running back up, smiling. He slaps it down and goes. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "I talked him down to 72 miles an hour."
I talked him down. So the fine was a little bit cheaper.
It was a little bit cheaper for going. He was telling me, "I was just showing my son speed, 102 miles an hour, show him what it's all about. Tell him, don't do that."
I was teaching my kid a lesson. And let me guess, you weren't wearing a seatbelt either.
No, we were not. In New Jersey in those years, who wore a seatbelt? The kids were on the back dash hanging out and ended up on the front seat.
I know. How did we survive?
I
look back and I'm like, wow. The way kids have it today, I'm like, man, I think they would have just killed over if they saw the crap that we had to go through.
Yeah, you also see that stuff that happens in the big cities. Like when I was working at that Exxon on the corner, I remember, so this car comes flying down, and we were like real close to 1 and 9 was the highway right there in front of us. And I heard cars just speeding down. I heard police, sirens going off. And right in front of me, no lie, standing, right there by the highway, a bus is coming by, and a Volkswagen hits right into the back of the bus, right in front of me, starts tumbling and drops the person out right in front of me on the street right here. And an LTD comes over and blazes and grinds right into the divider in the road. The guy that laying on the ground only got a scratch cut across his shoulder. That's it. But apparently the 19-year-old and the 11-year-old stole 2 cars. The 11-year-old, don't ask me why, was driving the big old LTD. And the 19-year-old was driving the Volkswagen Bug. So they obviously were not very intelligent robbers. They should have been swapping, right? But luckily it was a convertible Volkswagen. So when the roof ripped off, it just dropped him in the street, and it kept tumbling. So But I saw stuff like that all the time. You see death at a young age. You see all that stuff at a very young age because it's right there in front of you. In the inner cities. So, yeah.
So, like, and growing up with that kind of violence or kind of that trauma train wreck kind of lifestyle that New Jersey was, New York. I mean, it just was that's part of
Sure. Yeah.
the city. There's a lot of crime. Even today, you go down to New York. When Dave and I went there to go see Springsteen on Broadway, which hands down was like a religious experience.
Right.
But I experienced every single stereotype of New York City
And the
that one night, and it's real.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about we're walking towards Times Square, and there's one guy in one corner yelling and cussing and swearing at the other guy in the other corner. You got a couple homeless people over there begging for change. You got one guy that's smoking pot. And then you got break dancers, just all of a sudden they're dancing in Times Square and there's a crowd around them.
Yeah.
A homeless guy wanted us to buy him an ice cream sandwich, so we obliged and bought him an ice cream sandwich.
Was it Blue Bunny?
Yeah, I don't know. There was an ice cream truck. But yeah, I mean, like, just experience it, and that's how it is. I mean, it's a give and take. It's the atmosphere in New York City, New Jersey, all that. But yeah, there's crime happening probably right next to you. You never know. So that's what's kind of the magic of it all. It's just kind of part of America, the American fabric. So, but like, do you feel that it jaded you in a way? I mean, when your father was murdered, were you completely shocked? Or were you like, you're sad that he's gone, you didn't want it to happen, but you're like, well, it finally happened type of thing?
Well, I was devastated that he was gone because I used to go with him to the shop. He even gave me my own car in the back. They gave me a toolbox I would just like hang out of and was working on this vehicle. It just give me something to do and something for me to learn on. But I knew it was coming because that kind of life, it's hard to sustain in that kind of environment, that kind of life. But what was I going to do? We always taught to, you got to move on. You got to keep on doing what you need to do. And I had the anchor of my grandmother, who I called Nanny. She was a very religious woman. And she took me to church every Sunday, all the way from the time I was an infant. So I kind of had that core faith and that core value that kind of kept all of that in check. I knew what it all was. I knew what was good, what was bad, but when you're that young, it's all kind of exciting too. The whole thing with the bag and everything. It's like, yeah, I knew it was bad, but hey, man, this is really cool.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make your way through those kind of things. But, and you kind of got used to it. There's going to come a time you die. And, that's just I was just lucky that he spent enough time with my grandmother. By the time he died, he was a believer. So I believe he'll be, he may have to pay some penance, but he'll be hanging, waiting. So
he'll have to pay the balance of that speeding ticket. He talked the guy down to 72 miles an hour.
So I'll tell you a quick story. It's kind of funny, actually. I wrote a song on the First Fiction 6 album, and it's called My Promised Land. And originally I wrote it about the typical stuff. My Promised Land was like going to be about sex, right? But I remember Tony Franklin, who played on my first album. He played with Jimmy Page in The Firm, and he played with Blue Murder with John Sykes, who passed away just recently, and he played in Whitesnake for a while. But I call Tony up and say, so what do you think about this? And I send him the lyrics, and he goes, I don't know, Mark. You can do much better than this. This has been done a million times. And I say, okay. Just hang, okay? I'll send you something else. So I sat back and I said, he's absolutely right. So I wrote it about what happened with my father, and then about like what was he thinking? Like when he went to the pearly gates, or he went up to where it's like, so am I allowed in your promised land? Am I allowed in here? The things I've done, but and so that's what that song ended up being about. When I brought it to Tony, he was like, now that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it ended up on the album. It's called My Promised Land. And that's completely about that. It's about my father talking about the things that he did, feeling bad about the things that he did, and that he was wanting to know, am I allowed into the promised land? So that was what that song was about.
Well, that's beautiful. And that's the always thing you always wonder with your loved ones, were they good enough to make it through the gates,
Yeah.
And, if your father had a good heart, he had faith. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Being who he was, he probably had the faith, having a mom that was very religious. We are forgiven, so if he, with him being a believer, and I believe that he was, he did feel bad for the things, but it's kind of like, this was the life I knew.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else otherwise.
Yeah.
It even plays in today with kids who grow up in gangs and things like that. They don't know any different, and they don't have anybody to show them anything different.
Sure.
So when they think this is all there is, that's all there is for them. They don't see what else can happen. But it's like, you are an example. Like, you could have easily, even after your father's passing, you could have easily carried on into that life. But you chose, with your grandma giving you strong sense of faith in the church. It helped you pull yourself away and become Mark Lanoue, not little Ricky.
Little Ricky. And my mom's wisdom of actually getting us out of there too is probably really.
Yeah, I mean, just like, instead of embracing and just staying in that life because you don't know otherwise.
Yeah.
You guys, and I'm sure it was terrifying for your mother.
Oh yeah.
Leaving everything behind, and everything that she knew, and things like that. I can't imagine being a single mom with 2 kids, having to flee your home because you're worried about the aftermath of your father being murdered.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially, did they, I mean, obviously, did they find out that he was giving information to the government at all?
Hello, Darklings and my fellow mind travelers. This is Mark Allen Lanoue, the Gemini Mind. Come take a journey with me through this place we call life by picking up a copy of my book, Reality Was Once the Tapestry of the Dreamer, available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon online. You can find the links also on my website, markallenlanoue.com. Chock full of stories about organized crime, the paranormal, my music career, NASA, and more. So go pick up your copy, and you all rock. Indeed.
A lot of that was really kind of wrapped up. So once all this stuff went away, like the witness protection program, so there was nobody left to talk, right? He was gone. And so it all kind of got buried. I actually didn't get the records of what happened to him, like from the police departments and from the courts, until after everybody died that was involved. I have it now. I have the record, and it shows what happened. It is clear that there's cover-ups going on. There was even articles in the newspaper that even one of the journalists was like, something stinks. I mean, even the journalist figured out that what the guy was talking about was a bunch of crap. So it was obvious that he was taken out. But, that's in the past. And I didn't talk about it for a long time for obvious reasons, because even the attorney that was involved with it all for my father, he was alive until I think maybe 5 years ago, not very long ago. So
wow.
We had to be careful of what we said, because you never know what the ramifications are. So
exactly. And it seems like too, I mean, even in Mafia kind of, in families, it's like those grudges will get passed down to the next generation of the family. So it's like somebody that your dad dealt with in 1972 now has family in 2026, and they could still have that grudge and want to take some action.
And the grudge goes both ways. Like I have a half brother. So my father had a son before he was before us, and his name is Richard Allen Lanoue Jr. So he's named after my father. He actually went down to find the guy who shot my father, and actually found him in Florida.
Really?
He confronted him. However, he was in the wheelchair, and the first thing that my brother said was, "Well, where am I with this now? So he left, and then the guy died not long after. But so that's been a heavy weight for my brother as well, because he's like 6 years older than me. So
Mm-hmm.
it was it could be traumatizing, and it could also have a wave on both sides of the coin when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm just glad that it panned out the way it has. That I communicate with my brother now. I didn't talk to him
Mm-hmm.
for a really long time, but we talk on a regular basis now. So that's
Well, that's good. I mean, yeah, as long as you can somehow kind of keep that family connection going. I
yeah,
mean, if that's what you need to do to get through this kind of stuff, then, you know, creating, reigniting those family bonds,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think could help it, maybe your brother heal better and,
yeah,
and get through. Because I'm sure there's a lot of guilt still. And
yeah,
I can't. There's so much trauma and emotion when it comes to having a family member be violently taken out, not just passing away due to natural causes or things like that, but when it's a violent, when you're somebody's murdered or assaulted, it really impact. It feels like the whole family is murdered or assaulted. It's not just the one person. And you know, uh, luckily your mom was smart enough to get you guys out of there,
And
and
yeah. And I told my brother about the story about I knew that dad was okay because he came to me after he was murdered for like
oh,
one time he came to me, um,
mhm,
it, and it was in a dream where the coffin opened up in the front room. There he got out of it. He went reminisced with me like when we used to go fishing and all the
mhm,
different stuff. And he said, "Now I need you to make sure you take care of your mother and take care of the family and keep stuff together. And I'm gonna be okay. Everything's good. I just wanted to make sure I let you know that I'm fine." And then
mhm.
it was kind of strange because he got into the coffin. I felt the wind. He turned it to dust, blew away, and then I never saw him again. So
Wow. Well, maybe whatever he said, whatever you did, it worked because now you have worked for NASA. You're a recording Grammy nominated artist.
I'm not I'm not nominated.
or
I've
or
been.
the Grammy, what is it called? The
It's
Grammy.
basically it was basically I've been submitted to the Grammys, but which I will
Yeah.
be again next year. But I am a World Entertainment Award winner twice actually.
Oh, wow, really? Yeah, you're a talented musician. Um, and now you've wrote a book, you're into the paranormal, you are building lasers. You're just like hitting every nerd check, which I love because I love how your life has shaped who you are. And now, we have become great friends. And having you part of the Paranormal 60 and things like that and being on my show. I mean, if you look back in hindsight, would you change any of it?
No, it made me who I am, and it's the path that we lead. Especially if you're a believer like I am in God.
Mhm.
Everything is by choice, but by design. He knows everything that's going to happen. So we're made who we are for a purpose, and
Mhm.
that may be either for my lifetime or to affect someone in another. It's hard to say. Yeah.
Right. And it also makes great entertaining stories like Frenchie
Right,
and
Frank
Mario.
and Mario. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, totally. That deserved a screaming goat because I love it. I'm picturing was Mario tiny too? Was he
He
like
was
a short?
he was tall and skinny. It was like Abbott and Costello or like the honeymooners, right? It was like the big old Frenchie and the skinny Mario. It's like, hey,
Laurel and Hardy
Mario, how
type.
you doing today?
That's awesome. Well, reality was once the tapestry of a dreamer. Mark's book and some of your childhood, some of the mafia stuff and everything is in this book as well. Plus all your other amazing adventures in music and you do have a lot about your uh your late wife. I hate saying that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um because she was the love of your life, beautiful woman. I wish she was still around, but you know it's one of those things that sometimes just life throws you lemon. You got to find out lemons. You got to figure out how to make lemonade out of it. And you have, and it was just a couple of years ago when she passed, and I remember it vividly. And I was like, I don't know what I would do if something happened to Dave. But
Yeah.
knowing how much support I have around me, I know I can get through it a lot easier. And that's why, we've globbed onto you, Mark. You're a great person. We love having you on our shows. And we thank you for all your entertainment and all your contributions, especially to NASA and science, because that's important. But yeah, everybody go get the book. I'll put a link in today's show notes for you. Check it out. Please sure you rate and review the book, because it's important. Because if you like this book, you want to tell others. Well, liking, rating, sharing, that helps. So please do that. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. And I think we're probably going to go downstairs and have a nice stiff drink.
Maybe some more Merlot, right? I mean, I think I drank a little bit of Merlot earlier.
You did. You had a glass of wine at our bar.
I primed up for the show ahead of time just to make sure that,
Yeah. Well, and it's been fun having you here and kind of showcasing what the Palmer House is. So guys, if you guys want to come out to the Palmer House, give us a call. It's 320-351-9100. That's 9100. Hey, if you want to stay a Friday night and a Saturday night, hey, we'll give you Thursday night free. Oh my gosh, how does that free? You can't pass that up. Yeah, we're having a blast here at the Palmer. And it was an honor to have Mark here. And now, would you recommend? I mean, has anything specific happened to you, especially being in Raymond's room? I'd like to talk about that before we
I've
let you
actually
go.
so because as you know, as being sensitive and like you on the side of an empath, I actually saw what I believe was him on the corner by the bathroom. And I had to look over. Hey, you don't mind? I got to use the bathroom here, huh?
Look away.
Go
Look
over there,
away.
huh? You can mess with me in the other room. Just leave me alone in this one. But I have seen like glimmers of your kind of the foggy outline that you would usually see if it wasn't a full defined
Wow.
apparition. But I saw that of Raymond earlier on when I came here. But since then he hasn't really messed with me, because when they typically don't mess with the ones that are sensitive, that know, yeah, you're here, and what, you just leave me alone. I'm but
Right.
and that's not uncommon. I've seen that before. You can go into the most haunted place and nothing happens. It's like they don't come on cue, right? So
Right. And
but
and that's I've been here where I've been here at times where I have no experiences.
yeah,
And then I've been here at times where every time I turn around, I'm seeing stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, it's right. They're not like paid monkeys.
yeah. That's right. That's right. They have
Dance.
those feelings too. It's like, man, I don't want to deal with you today. I'm trying to hang out in
Yeah.
the corner over here.
Yeah, normally with Raymond, any interaction you have, he's telling you to get out because he just doesn't like the living. He's like that grumpy old man. Get off my lawn. I don't want you I don't want you in my space. I don't want you touching my stuff.
Well,
And
apparently it
he's
was messing with my
scary.
camera because it did it like
I know.
3
I don't
times.
know. I don't know why it's doing it, and it's weird because it's like it's going on your face too. So yeah, it's probably Raymond screwing around.
Got you,
telling-
jerk.
Well, again, thank you so much, Mark, for coming on and spending a little time with us and talking about your story. I know some of it can't be easy, drumming up some old memories and feelings, but it's good to kind of just talk those things out and let people know that, hey, I've been through trauma. If you've gone through trauma, I've been through it. You can get through it too. So
I want to say one last thing before we get off is just as Winnie mentioned about the passing of my wife. I wrote a beautiful song called "Forever My Love," which will be out on Valentine's Day, but you could actually hear it. It's out there in the cyberspace. So
yes, I have listened to it. Beautiful, just beautiful. I tear up because I know it's about her, and I'm just, I know how much you love her and how much it was hard for her to be taken from you. But, it's like sometimes life, like I said, life throws you lemons. You got to figure out how to make lemonade. It sucks, but obviously it was her time. And I guarantee you, Mark, with my empathic abilities, she's going to greet you on the other side with open arms. So you're all good. You'll see your lady love again, I promise. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you all next week.
Peace.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot. And until our next case, my armchair detectives, stay safe, stay vigilant, and stay aware. I'll see you right here next week on Mysteries, Mayhem, and Merlot.